We have a really nice kit, and it's called the Exploring Watercolor Kit. And it's actually something that it's nothing new in the sense that these are not new products. So, but what they are is this is basically some of our best selling in a nice little kit that if you want to give it as a gift or, give it to yourself. But it's actually got our most popular watercolors, best selling actually. They're student grade, and we have some, but I'll show them to you today. We have a couple of fusion brushes and a palette and some mineral paper. So I'm just going to unbox it like I would as if I were buying it, except there is inside. It's not completely. Oh, Kitty's here. Yay. And Joyce is here. So it's just me by myself. Phoebe is not here, but she will be back next time. And I really appreciate it when she's here because I was a little slow in getting my act together. Okay, so here it is, Exploring Watercolor Kit. Yay. This is called NNC-KIT. That's the actual item number. So if you are interested in buying this for a friend, what a nice gift. Easy to wrap up and send as a gift. Very nice. And it comes with these items. Comes with our 15 piece color watercolor set. And you can see I've already messed with it. I actually did some little videos on it earlier this week, so it's been used, but you'll get a new set when you buy one. Oh, there's no sound, but the subtitles work. That's interesting. So let me see. Thank you for letting me know, Jane. I'm glad that the subtitles work, though. Let's see if I can see. I see it on my end. Oh, let's see. Oh, select the speaker, select the microphone. I don't know. Is everyone else not seeing or hear? Oh, you got sound. So check your Elka's here. Great. All right, so that means your speakers may not be working or something. Whoever had mentioned that. Anyway, so let me get to it here. So we've got our set, 15 colors. And what's great about this little set, it's in a tube, which I kind of always have been going for pan watercolors, but tube watercolors are really handy because you can squeeze as little or as much as you want out. This comes with, the colors you get are, of course it's all mixed up, is you've got a big variety. Gold, silver, which is beautiful, blue, peach, all kinds of colors. And I'm just going to show them to you. The other thing you're going to get in your set, so I'm going to put that right there. I'm just going to keep an eye on the chat because I don't have anyone moderating it but me. So y'all got saying, yay. Oh, you had to restart for sound. Interesting. Hi, Karen. All right. Okay on Facebook. Ready to go. Thank you everybody for helping me there. So this one normally comes without the stuff in it. So it would be blank. But this is our palette that we've had forever. And I love this palette. It's made in Japan and it is made it's very well made. It's not flimsy. I've had some of mine forever. You can squeeze the paint out into these little mixing trays and store it. But sometimes like the white, it kind of comes out and I'm going to kind of help you figure out a way to glue that in. If you have little bits and pieces that sort of fall out, I've got some little tricks on that. But these I squeezed out earlier in the week, so it's a little messed up, but I'll still show you how you can squeeze the watercolors out. Another thing you're going to get in the set is you're going to get two fusion brushes, a number 4 and a number 1. And the number 1 is the perfect one for detail and lines, and the number 4 is kind of a nice, good for most things, especially for the size paper you're going to get. And you're going to get a pad of 20 sheets, 100-pound mineral paper. And this is the thing I'm going to really focus on today is talking about mineral paper with watercolor, because there's some things that are kind of when you get them out of the box, there's some things that I just want to address so that if you have mineral paper already, or if you're thinking about it, um, then I can help you with that. Now, then you're also going to get in the kit is a full little instructions sheet, which kind of just basic, the basic instructions, how to squeeze it out of the tube, all those things, and the function of the palette. And then it will give you a little thing about the flowers, but also there's a little bit of instructional video QR code right there. So just a basic set, but let's go and dive into the actual watercolors and the mineral paper. So starting with the mineral paper as your substrate, mineral paper is made out of calcium carbonate. It is doesn't wrinkle at all. It's very thin, so you can use it, to trace well, it's thin enough if you wanted to put something under it. You may be able to trace, especially if you put some light underneath. So that's kind of nice if you want to make a sketch and all that. I'm going to put one of my pieces of paper because I'm going to do several things today. The colors you're going to get, of course, you can squeeze them directly out of the tube. I think that one needs a violet. I want to just show you. When you get these, sometimes these have the separation of the gum arabic and just their separation. So sometimes you may get, when you're opening it up, you may get some liquid that comes out. It's pretty liquefied. This is not Daniel Smith. Sorry. Sorry, Yasutomo, I love you. But this is not Daniel Smith. This is a student grade paint. But because we have actually had this for a long time, but this is our new, it's a new manufacturer, and their paints are really nice. So I'm going to that's the violet. I'm going to just squeeze some in to show you kind of how it goes in. You can put as little as you want, or as little or as much as you want in that. Hi, Neela. Greetings from Arizona. So Santa Fe, we're neighbors. I love Santa Fe. So I've got the purple or the violet. And so you can massage these if you want to kind of mix them up. There's really, sometimes it's just going to separate. Sometimes that's how they come out. And here's some white. This is a nice opaque white, which is really nice. And you could just paint directly, pulling paint out of the tube, just putting a little bit in your tray, and only just enough for one setting, or put enough to travel with. This palette is wonderful because you have a lot of mixing area, and it can fold down to travel with. Of course, when you do that, make sure all the paints are dry before you do that. Okay, so let's get started on the different things that we can do. So because I have a wide range of colors, I really don't need, color mixing isn't my thing. I've already got all these colors. But you can still mix. These are semi-transparent. There's probably, maybe some of these colors are transparent, but most of them have a little bit of opacity in them. So they're not really true transparent colors, but they are very great for beginners and for people who just want to get a large area of color down. So I'm just going to kind of talk about the mineral paper too. When you get the mineral paper straight out of just take it off the pad. First of all, you don't need to have a surface, or you don't need to stretch your paper, obviously, because the paper is already, I mean, it won't wrinkle no matter what. I'm going to put this on a thing so you don't have to, so I don't mess up my table. Hi, Wanda. I'm so glad you're here. Um, all right. So I'm just going to talk about mineral paper. If you were just to do mineral paper straight out of, let's say you want to just paint directly on it, I'm just going to take some of the paint that's already in here so I can get a cleaner slate. You may notice when you're going on it, now this isn't doing that. Sometimes it depends on the paper or the paint. I'm going to spritz these down. These have not been used in a while. Okay. So sometimes mineral paper will kind of beat up, but this is not. This is actually giving me a really nice line, a little nice, line. There's no beating up. Now I've done it before, and I'm going to show you examples, and this is something that just to be aware of is sometimes, and I'm going to grab my samples here. Actually, I was doing this a little bit a while ago, and it didn't beat up, but one day on one pad, so maybe it's just different pads. This one here, okay, see that? You see that edges? They kind of bubbled up. It was really weird, but I kind of like the effect. So this is how it was when I did it just straight on the paper. So here, I'll show you. I'll do it. I'll make a little flower. And I'm just going to use the same paint. I'll use this orange. That's what I was using the other day, a little red. And I'm mixing them together. So these paints are really mixable, compatible, of course. And there's some white there. But I made a little flower petal, and watch what happens. See how it beads up? That's really odd, right? And which could be an effect you might like. I think it's kind of cool because I'm doing something I never would expect. But that's not probably what I would really want. So You can kind of help it along by scrubbing some of that oil or whatever's on there. I don't know what's on there, but I was able to scrub it off. Another way to do it is to just wipe the entire piece of mineral paper with a damp cloth with wet, just something wet and damp, and just kind of clear off any maybe fingerprints or something that's going to make it resist. So that, I don't know why I did that the other day, but I did notice it a couple more times on some things that I was doing. So it was a very interesting discovery. I don't know if what to call it, but it was interesting. So let me just kind of go through some demonstrations. And of course, please, and that was the front side. Isn't that weird? Neela, you mentioned that it was at the back side. No, it's the front side. So I really don't know the mystery on that. So I'm going to mix this a little bit and I'm going to make a little, see, it totally doesn't make a line. That was weird, just kind of like invisible. But if I were to wet it down, I'm going to grab a little sponge and put some kind of like pre-treat it a little bit here. I'm just going to wipe that off. The thing about mineral paper too, I love it because it's pretty indestructible. It's hard to tear. It's not going to wrinkle. And I'm going to just kind of wipe that dry so you can see the next line what I put down. Here we go. All right. Now I'm going to try it again, but this time I wiped it off. And I'm going to just put some kind of a combination of green, and I should get a really nice line. So it just happened to be, hi, Pat. Nice to see you here. So, you're able to use now on that part, it didn't, well, because I wiped it down. So, so if you have that happen, I'm just bringing this up because it could happen to some of you. If you have some mineral paper that seems to do that, don't freak out. Don't go, oh my God, something's wrong with it. You just could just wipe it down, just kind of get it ready. Like here's my little lines. This is what I would do. I would just take the whole thing like this with a wet brush and prime it if you want to. You can have it the other way too, but just prime it. And you can see my paint just stayed right on there. It's not coming off. Um, I'm just going to take my paper towel and I'm going to wipe it off because my lines are on there. So they're not going anywhere. Isn't that interesting? If you were to use Yupo, which a lot of people have asked, is this like Yupo? No, it's not. It's definitely Yupo would wipe all the way off pretty much. Um, so now I've got it primed and ready to go. So if you have a staining watercolor, it's going to stay, it's hard to lift. But if you have a non-staining watercolor, it should lift off pretty well. But I'm just kind of just going to play a little bit here. I want you to kind of see where I'm going with this because I'm just going to make sure we're in the screen here. All right, there we go. I'm centered there. Good. And anyone, oh, there we go. Technical stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to do some shapes because I want you to see how this color goes down. And it kind of feels, it feels interesting. Since I've sort of I've wet it, but I drew it, but I took off all the extra moisture. And it really is a nice surface. I got this nice clean edge. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a very nice edge. I'm going to put a little of this other color in it, whatever this is. That's a little bit of black. I like to mix it up a little. Kind of now I've got like a little Prussian blue. These colors are mixable enough that you can make beautiful combinations of colors. 15 colors here, but with all this, you can make any color you want, pretty much. Maybe a little mud sometimes, especially on the colors that have more more calcium carbonate, like this is a more opaque color. Of course, the peach is very opaque. The yellow is on the opaque side, and this ochre color is also on the opaque side. But either way, you can have, lots of options to mix up colors. I'm going to take this blue again, just straight out of just straight out of the pan. I'm just going to make another shape because I'm just doing this shape thing right now. And what's nice about the mineral paper is that you can get like beautiful edges, and you're going to see them when they dry. So if I'm doing really light washes, like really light, and I'm just doing shapes to right this very second, but if I were to do flowers or a landscape, I could get really interesting edges. I'm going to show you, let that dry for a second so you can see that. But I wanted to show you something else you can do with the mineral paper. Of course, this might have stained. We'll see what happens. But I did a little wash of, I actually had a boo-boo, a big time boo-boo, and took my mineral paper and pretty much put it under the sink. And there's a little staining underneath. So, that part is it's just a little staining, not too bad. Now I'm going to try, this is what I love about mineral paper. And you can't do this with watercolor paper. You would just kill the watercolor paper. And this I'm going to save. I see something happening with that. So I'm going to grab a sponge and I'm going to wet it. It's not so that it's soaking wet. I'm going to basically get it damp. And then I'm going to squeeze out every bit of extra water that I can into my paper towel so that I don't have a sopping wet mess, but I do have a nice damp sponge. And I'm going to do this. This is a stencil that I bought. I know it was really cheap on Amazon. And I'm just going to take it and we're going to see. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to take my sponge and I'm going to kind of move it. Like basically, I'm only going to touch. I'm going to try to find the blank areas. Okay. And then I have to clean this off because, oops. Oh no, I don't want to move that. There we go. So basically, I did a very saturated layer, let it dry. Now I'm just lifting off. Oops, there we go. Lifting off. It's still moving. Okay, hold it. There we go. So I'm lifting off, and look what I got. I got this beautiful image, and I've got what's underneath, some of the staining that happened underneath the mineral paper. I think that's so cool. Now I can do things like this. I've got my little number one brush, which is nice liner brush, and I'm just using clear water right this second. And I'm going to just take that clear, and I'm going to continue, basically get rid of that stencil look, that little notch that's in there. I'm going to just join these so that it looks all like a continuous piece. I'm just blotting off that extra. Just so kind of gives that nice line. And I'm going to go all the way to the base of this and then blot off that extra. And so basically you can erase, as long as it's a paint that's not staining, you can erase the most of it. And some of it stains, like this paint underneath here was staining. So I'm going to take my brush and grab some of that blue or some of the Prussian blue I think we have. It's cobalt blue and Prussian blue. So I'm going to just combine those. Maybe add a little bit of black just to that mix. And I'm going to take this thing, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to start at the area of growth. And I'm just going to kind of continue to just make a little line to kind of do this. And then I'm going to take my um, brush, my number one brush, which I love because it makes beautiful lines. I'm just kind of doing like some little lines through it, like that and like that. So see how you can layer? There we go. And then just like here, and maybe I can do a little extra there and here. But really, this is one way you could do this. You could add the white. Now we have white. I'm going to grab my number 4. And I don't use a lot of white. I mean, I do for highlights and stuff, but this is a really good opaque white that you can use with the set. Or you can use the metallic. It's really pretty. And I'm just going to put little marks, or I can just do the whole thing, whatever I want to do. If I want to bring out more light, um, you can add layers and just maybe do some just little things like this, maybe over here. And actually, I don't like that. So I'm going to erase. This is what I love about mineral paper. I can change my mind. And I'm just going to go here, kind of take clear water and just kind of take my brush and just kind of lift it up. And then I'm going to blot some of that off. Let's see, I'll grab got more paint on my hands. I must have had it when I started before I started. So here's one way that you can really get some nice, quick lines and or images. Here, I'm going to do another one here. Now, you can also stencil, I'll show you this in a minute, but you can also create, which I'll show you as soon as I'm going to take this and I'm going to do a little bit more erasing here. This time I'm just going to kind of drag it, like kind of just making marks like that. There we go. And then I'm going to lift it and I've just created another thing. So you can really play with this. Maybe it should go that way. But you see how fun? I mean, really, you can just create all kinds of textures and yeah, that's what I want. Something like that. And then I can just keep working on that and making a really nice botanical thing. Another thing you can do is if you wanted to do like a bokeh effect, you can use a stencil, like a little circle thing, and you can make these little bokeh, whatever you call those, little sort of like look like light reflecting kind of things. And I'm just going to just kind of change up the shapes. This is just a plain old drafting template. There we go, like that. So I'm making a little kind of just a design, a little watercolor here. And I will probably do some pen work over it, but I wanted to show you how fun it is to work with just wiping off or putting down the color and then wiping it off and totally keeping those lights. So that's another thing I want to show you. And so I'll set that aside and I'll come back when everything's dry. I'll come back with some line work or maybe some metallics because I want to show you the metallics. Maybe I should show you some while I'm here because this gold and the silver are so pretty. I'm just going to get those nice and wet, and I'm going to show you how pretty those are. Okay, here we go. So I hope everybody's still with me. Normally I would have Phoebe, where are you? It's just nice to know that you're there. So let me know you're still here. I know you're watching the demo, but and just help me out and let me know you're here. Yay, I see the hearts now. There, I know you're here. Thank you. Little caring things. Thank you. So I'm going to just do gold because at least I think the gold you'll be able to see it a little bit better. I'm just going to blot that up a little because I see a lot of, I'm just going to do like lines. I don't know. I'm just going to kind of do stuff here. Definitely going I'm not really planning anything. And this is what I do often with you anyway. I don't plan things. I just kind of, things happen. And sometimes they turn out good and sometimes they're not so good. But what creative, that's what happens, right? When you're playing, sometimes you get really, really good things. And sometimes, you can just call it practice, call it a learning experience. So you can see how the gold just really looks beautiful. And now I'm going to show you the silver, which really is more of a white. It's a pearl color, and I think that is so gorgeous. You'll see what I mean. I can try to get maybe some pearly kind of lines. I kind of want to do some lines. And oops, that mixed with the white. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. So you can see how opaque the silver is, or the pearl. Nice and opaque. And what's really nice about that is that it mixes with the colors, which I love about this set. This is kind of coming along. It's a little abstract kind of piece here. Thank you, Elka. I appreciate it. Appreciate the feedback. Let's see, I'm going to mix some of that. Oh, that's gorgeous. I wish I had a black piece of paper to show you. Oh my gosh. So if I mix some of that pearl with some of this blue, I'll get a pearl blue. And I could make little marks kind of going around. I'm just going to make just kind of intuitive sort of things going on here. I don't know, just making marks. And that's what I love about this stuff, that you can just experiment like crazy. And I'm not sure once that dries, if that metallic is going to show much, but it'd be much more subtle than just pure straight out of the thing. Now, the thing about these paints, like this painting I did, it's a full-on, it took a lot of time to do this, but layers, you start with the first layer and then just keep layering. And I'll kind of show you what I mean about the layering. I started If you have any questions, please, please, please ask, ask, ask. I started these today, and I'll just kind of go like this. And I'm going to just take a moment and you know what drives me crazy more than anything? When I'm working, I don't like to have my hands painted. So I've got my little baby wipes. I'm just looking at them going, no, it's not going to work. You can use, by the way, you can use both sides of this mineral paper. Both sides are just as good. So let's say you want to start all over and or you want to do the other side, you can do it, which I think is awesome. You can also put like salt. You can do all the things you would do with watercolor when you're doing, if you can put rubbing alcohol on it, it looks fantastic with rubbing alcohol in the watercolor. Who needs alcohol inks, right? You've got that. So I'm just going to put a little, some background, like I think maybe a little on this one, I'm going to just put a little purple kind of, and maybe some brown mixed with the purple because I don't want it perfectly purple, but I want it to be muted down a little. Still purple, but muted some of this brown to kind of change it a little bit. So it's kind of a interesting color. I don't know what that is. So I'm going to put maybe, if I want to do a background, I'm going to do like, let's say there's a background here. I'm just going to go like kind of like this. And each of these, what I love about this is each stroke kind of shows. Let's put some more here, mix it up a little. Just creating kind of some kind of place for these flowers to be planted in is all I'm doing. It's not a realistic thing for sure. Now on the paper, does it take longer to, it's similar to watercolor, Joyce, but if you puddle it, it will take a little longer. It does have a absorbency to it, there is some absorbency to it. So it's not like UPO, which you would just float and take you time to dry that. But this stuff does it has some like an eggshell. It has some absorbency to it. And it does take a little longer because I've got a really wet, I'm going really wet into wet here or wet on really super wet brush, loaded brush. But it's kind of I'm just going to go right across on that. It's kind of, depending on where you live, I think that it dries pretty quickly, but not as quick as like an unsized watercolor paper, of course. It's going to be different. Just going to drag that across all the way. So this is like a little background I'm kind of creating. And I want those layers to dry, of course, and of course they're not going to dry right away. So I'm going to go back to this little piece here that I was working on, kind of talk about layers, show you the layers a little bit while this is drying. So if I want to go deeper and, kind of a deeper background, sort of get some contrast here. I need some light and dark going on here. I want to mix a little bit of this kind of Prussian blue with some purple, and I've got kind of a nice deep color. And I'm going to try to create some other shapes. If I wanted to, I could take that same. Well, let's see, where's my stencil? There it is. I can take this stencil, and if I wanted to, I just thought about this. I thought this might be kind of fun. I'm just going to put it right here. I haven't tried this before, but why not try it now? I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to kind of load it up, and I don't want it to be too wet. So I'm going to kind of scrape off some of that extra paint. And I'm going to try and see what happens if I just go like this with the stencil. Just trying something new. Always fun to experiment. It could be a total failure, but I just want to see. So I could use my stencils to layer and to create, more depth, or instead of wiping off, I'm actually adding. So let's see what that looks like, just for fun. You can use it as a subtractive or whatever, addictive. So you don't need to tape it down. Exactly. It does not buckle. Look at what I'm doing. I'm abusing it and it's not buckling. So I'm going to just so I made a little shape. I'm not sure it's that great, but it was a little, I think I would prefer to use a flat brush instead of this round one because the brown one, the bristles were pushing in, but at least it gave me something to work with. So I'm just going to kind of use um, my brush now to kind of complete the image. And it doesn't, it's like, unlike paper, regular paper, you will not, it won't tear, or rub off because it's pretty sturdy and it doesn't buckle. So you can just kind of keep, manhandling it and it doesn't buckle. And it just it's really fun stuff to work with. I don't work with it enough, come to think of it. I'm always gravitating towards the cotton, but I forget that these are really, really lovely papers to work with. So let's say I'm kind of starting a foreground thing going on here, trying anyway. And I could keep working and making little, just going with more layers, like here I could add just some elements in the background, just to maybe to kind of give the impression of more plants, maybe going up like this and kind of like this. And I really started with a really dark background by doing that wash like that. So definitely I'm kind of sort of put myself in a corner here, but you can kind of see where I could go with that. So, so you can see on the back side, it's not soaking through, obviously, and it's not buckling at all. It's laying so flat. Now let's just say, I don't want this painting at all. Well, I mean, I'm happy with it, but I'm going to just destroy it on purpose because I want to show you. I'm going to spritz the front. Ooh, and see how wet I can get that as wet, so wet, and it's not going to buckle. So that whatever I put down there, I'm going to grab my paper towel, and just for giggles, I'm going to just scrape all this off. And what I've got is this. Ooh, oh my goodness! Oh, this is something I've never. Ah, how cool is this? All right, so there is something happening here. I'm going to grab another paper towel. Something happening here. I hope you see it. There's like a ghost image of if I let it dry completely, look what I see, that ghost of the lines that I had created. And I'm loving that much more than I liked it when it was dark. Now I have something to work with. So I'm just going to kind of take this off. There we go. So you can see it better. I'm scrubbing that. I can't get any more off. So it did soak in. I'm going to try a little more. And that's on there. But what's really cool is some of the image, a lot of that image. If you could see that, it's like ghosting that gorgeous image. Oh, hello, I love that. Just love that. Now those little pink things, I really wish those weren't coming back, but I see some potential here for doing some fun with mineral paper and watercolor, how you can just create layers. If I were to do this like like on this one, let's say. I'm going to do this. I love this. Basically, I kind of kept that image. Wait for that to dry, and I can do some layering. I can go around this. I can paint. I'm thinking it'll be fun to do. You can mix these with your Daniel Smiths, with anything you want. Just going to take this, and I'm going to try something. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to kind of get rid of some of this, but I'm going to kind of use those that area is like kind of like I have my ghost image, and I'm just going to create just kind of I want that gone basically. Bye bye flower. And you can see I can see these little shapes going on here, so I can kind of bring some of those back, or I can leave some. But wow, this is interesting that I was able to do that layer. Now you'll notice that when you're drawing, if you're trying to do really solid washes with this mineral paper, oh well, the brush, first of all. If I were to take a wash brush, like a flat brush, I'm going to grab one for you. I'm going to grab a sheet pair brush. This is a Hake brush. So Barbara, it's mineral paper. This is the mineral paper pads. This is our smallest size we have. It's JMP 100, 6 by 8. We have also 11 by 14, and we have a 11 by 14 and 9 by 12. This is in a 100 pound, but we also have one that's heavier, and I'll show you that in a moment, but it is fabulous stuff. So I'm just going to show you, if you do like a wash, like you kind of go like this, you'll get a better lay down of color. So if you take it like that, but I still see that ghost thing going, but I can eventually kind of keep layering with these little layers. And now I think I want to doodle over those. I think my intention now is when that dries, I've got to wait for it to be bone dry, but I'm going to use some of these little ghosty images and I'm going to doodle with a marker. And I want to show you that you can doodle, you can draw with this. Oh, you can use like a Detail Master. Let me just Detail Master pigment liner. I've got a '05 here. Let's say I'm gonna just do some fun little doodly things here. I'm gonna just do, I don't know, we'll see. I'm kind of in the mood to do some kind of organic-y thing. So I'm just drawing right over I can draw right over the paper. I'm just gonna kind of make some flower petal type things, maybe. I'm in the flower mood. I want spring to come. Okay, there. So look at those beautiful sharp lines that you can get. They're so dark and lovely. Isn't that ghost image amazing? And here I can just create more of these little shapes, kind of like little flowers, just kind of using the shape. And then maybe I'll use what lines I already have. And I might be able to just make some marks inside. I can do more like this. And another thing that's really cool is I can take a white marker because, well, I could use the paint too. I'm going to I'll show you the marker and then I'll show you the paint. So here's a marker. So I could do like using an acrylic marker. This happens to be a Molotow. They are fantastic. Now this is acrylic paint. So the mineral paper loves acrylic paint. It actually loves any kind of water-based or water paint, water medium. And it works really well. Let me grab some of this white oops, that's not white anymore. There we go. There's some white. And I could also do the same thing here. I can do like little, let's say I want to make like lines with the white watercolor. I can do that, make some fun little lines like so. And so whatever your style is, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. Here's just a nice little line going. Of course, it's better to have it opaque. I just mixed it with the blue. Got to mix it up. It's not a gouache, but it's pretty close. There we go. And because mineral paper, well, it is absorbent, so you kind of load your brush up pretty well to get that opacity. And so let's see what else trouble I can get into here. I can grab this and I can make more. And I can go off the page. There we go, like that. Like that. And then, so just made myself a little very strange flower thing here. And now that this is dry, pretty dry, I think. I think I'm ready. Just want to make sure before I go to the next thing. I'm gonna do the thing about the pens do not rub off. So when you've done a mark on the pen with the pens, it's not moving. But some of these little lines here are just so beautiful. So I'm gonna just using that as my guide. Doesn't have to be exact, but I'm kind of going with that. Kind of using my ghost uh, image. But the good news is I can kind of make it different. I can make it my own, which is really, I love that. So won't look like like I used a stencil anymore, even though I did. To start it, I used a stencil, but now it's got my own hand in it, but I have a guide. I have something that looks kind of like a botanical thing. And there we go. And then what I could do to cover up those pink things, let's see, I'm going to just do this. Doesn't look anything like that stencil anymore, which is nice. Okay, so I'm just going to make this a little thicker down here. And now I've got a focal point. And the rest I can just completely cover up. What I think would be really nice is to take some light, like some gesso, and just totally cover all that, or I might even keep that one because I like that here. So let me kind of show you what I'm gonna do. I wasn't thinking I didn't think this would be something I do, but I'm gonna do a little mixed media with you because why not? Like, this is what you can mix the watercolor. So you have a watercolor base, And if I can get this thing off, there we go. Got some white gesso. I'm just going to try something here. Needs to be stirred. And I'm going to grab a paintbrush. And let's see, which brush am I going to use here? I'm going to grab, oh my, there's some painting I did earlier today and I haven't cleaned up from that. So I'll just use this and I'll make sure I clean it. All right, so it's a watercolor brush. I wouldn't recommend doing this with your gesso. But I'm doing it anyway. So you would keep it and write a poem on the right side. That's a great idea. I think that is such a great idea. That's a good idea. I might do the same thing. I might just do that. So here I get messed it up, but did want to show you what I'm thinking. So I'm going to just go ahead, but the next one I'll do it that way. So I'm just going to put some gesso, like maybe want to keep some of this that's underneath. And right in here, I'm just going to kind of keep maybe this, and I'm just going to kind of using some gesso, and maybe I'll write a poem right over here somewhere on this side. Kind of like I'll just kind of bring it here. But so I'm giving myself a little white area anyway. Maybe it's a mistake, but you know what? I think it's because I want to get rid of these pink flowers so badly. But that's what I love about playing is, you're not every time you're going to get, have a winner that you're going to go, oh, I love this. There's a lot of times I have things that go, I don't necessarily throw them in the trash right away because I always try to find a way to repurpose them. But there's some things I've made that I'm like, eventually they go in the scrap pile or I'll repurpose them somehow with something, maybe use them for a weaving or something. But so you can see how you can use this paper. It's so nice. It doesn't, nothing wrinkles. I love that. I'm just kind of trying to keep some of these little elements in here, the shapes I really like. And I can just keep creating layers. Here we go. That's what I was looking for, just right in here. And the more I try to be too neat, I'm just going to be sort of sloppy here. If I try to be too neat and too linear, like, oh, perfect, that is where I get in trouble. My brain starts to, I start to get my inner critic starts to say, oh, well, that doesn't look right. And then I start to just tighten up. And, this is just a piece of mineral paper. It's not, my wall at home. It's just, it's just a piece of paper. It's okay. So I'm just going to kind of get rid of some of that pink that's driving me crazy. And I'm just going to go kind of, kind of put some of that gesso around. And then I could do some other fun things with it. I could make some textures with my sponge or a back of a brush, which I think would be fun to try. I'm just going to take a little of that back of a brush and do some marks, like maybe here. Here we go. See, there's not all is lost. I'm actually try this with watercolor paper, right? What would happen with that? There are no mistakes, so true. So I'm actually drawing using the back of my brush, and I'm making little marks that kind of go with the whole thing. So, you can just do that. There we go. And nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. And then I can maybe come back with some, maybe I'll deal with it. Some watercolor. That's what I was thinking. Just some watercolor. And I can even wipe off some area that I don't like. This is what I love about creating on mineral paper. There we go. Just gonna pick out some of those so I have some of that color left. And when that all dries, I will come back with some layers, more layers, like some back in with my watercolor. Oh, can't do it while this gesso's wet, but I can take my watercolor and I can start building more layers on this, which is really fun. So is there any questions you might have? I know we're like 5 minutes before the end of the stream of the live, and I want to know if you have any questions on the kit or on the watercolors, the fusion brushes, anything that might be okay. Where the pink flowers? Okay, so the question is where the pink flowers until overwall dark. Yeah, I did the pink flowers first, kind of like this. And then when I tried to wipe, I did the overall blue wash. Then let that dry, and then I wiped off, as you see, scrubbed off most of that, and that was kind of so the pink really stained. What in those that pink was not from the set. It was from another brand I just happened to have in my stat. I don't remember what it was. Oh, it was a core. It was the core magenta, core watercolors, and I that just stained the paper much more than than these for some reason. So that's just kind of what happened there. And can always, just playing is what we need to do. And then sometimes you'll get something great, and sometimes, and the more you loosen things up. So here, I'm going to try to just go over this with my watercolor. Of course, it's wet. I don't really shouldn't be mixing gesso with watercolor, but I am. It's not dry yet, but you can do that. It seems to be working. And once I let that layer dry, I'll just keep building layers and just keep playing. So the layers look like jelly printing. It's so true. Of course, it'd take a little while. So J.J. Cardinal's Wild Bird and Nature Store. Oh, that's cool. It's a great set. So you've got those in your store. That's so great. That's great. Oh, it's available. Yes. Okay. I think it is. Um, yes, I believe it is. My phone's gone off. Sorry. I can't get to it. It is it's a new product, so it's very new, but let me tell you the item number again if you missed it. I'm going to give you the item number is NNC kit. So it's just, and the retail, I don't know. It's terrible, or the wholesale, I don't know. But you carry all the products, but not the sets yet, but those are new. And actually, we'll be featuring these at NAMTA at the Creativation at NAMTA. I don't know if you're going, but so the question is, will the final piece need a fixative when it's dry? No, it doesn't. It won't need a fixative. But if I don't want it to move, let's say I want to do another layer, like I would do a workable fixative. Let's say I want to do another layer, but I don't want the under layer to move at all, then I would do a workable fixative and then go proceed with painting or whatever creating I'm doing. But I'm going to keep building layers. I don't have time today, but I'll keep building some layers. I want this to be the focal point, the thing in the foreground. I want those to be in the background. I may throw a few lines, like kind of like something like, oh, let's see, maybe I should use a different color. But kind of like this blue thing. I'm on this blue thing lately. So but I am going to do some blue with a little green, kind of mixing the green in that. And I just think maybe I'll just throw in like, some botanically kind of things, like lines, and maybe even using for what I have underneath and just build, build, build. This is where I'll take my time, and maybe this will take a few days to really get something that's not a few days, few hours, just like get up, get some water, work on it, go away, come back. I don't want it too dark back there because I do want layers on this one. But I could add a little green to that. And maybe I think I want a little something in this one. Maybe the green layer would be pretty. And then I can add some light if I want, or just leave that alone. Maybe I should change in my mind on that. That's gonna stop. That's too, I want to leave that light. So I will put green in the background. I'll do like little back down here. If you see when I work down here, I'll start at the base and I'll create like little like stalks of greenery or more plants, and I'll just carry that through. But I'm not going to cover up the leaves that I have already done the foreground. And I can watercolor right over my gesso after it dries, of course. And then I may add some highlights, and I might be using my white, and I'll just keep working it. And then maybe I'll post this at some point. I'll put it on the Yasutomo, I'll put it on the page here once I'm done, because it's going to take way too long to finish it. But at least you can see the start. Possibly. So yes, Kitty, I am. Can you believe it? I'm going to NAMTA. Scared. I'm so scared, but I am going. I'll be wearing a mask. I'll be the only person wearing a mask, but it'll be 4 years since I've been around anybody. So I'm, except for my husband and my doctors. So because I am a cancer survivor, thriver, and I haven't been around people, I am gonna do that. Yeah, but I'll just wear purple mask and I'll paint my heart out. And I'm hoping that you can come, Kitty, because that would be so cool to see you. So, everyone, I hope that you enjoyed this demo today. I certainly enjoyed being with you. And yes, I'll be playing and having fun for a little bit longer. And it will take, this is the beginning. So layer after layer after layer. Now this one is a lot, it's just using the colors straight out of the tube. It's not my favorite painting, but it's something, it's like a field of flowers. It's something that I wanted to play with just to see how I could stretch this kit. But you can use this kit any way you want. Like I just think making marks is fun, or doing just, little simple things and simple little drawings. And the good thing is eventually, and this is a great mixed media paper, great set just to start, and the great brushes. These are fantastic brushes. So basically, you have a good set and you have some instruction on how to use it here, which is a very simple, nice little video on how to do it. So there you go. And thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate it. And yes, it will be so great to yes, Kitty, it will be awesome to meet you. And of course, any of my friends that I've met online, which I've met many of you, and I'm just going to put my camera on me for a second. Um, Thank you. I want to just thank you for for being patient with me, because I've been here in my little cave, and you have saved me from going crazy because I get to do my art all day. But I'm excited about seeing some people in person, and we'll do that in the end of March at NAMTA Creativation. That will be really fun. And anything else? Well, please put your questions in the comments. And if you have any more questions about what we did today, in 2 weeks we'll have another, I'm not sure what it will be, but it will hopefully be exciting for you. We have some new products coming, so we'll be happy to show you. So I hope you have a really good weekend. Have a great creative time with whatever you're doing, and stay safe, warm, and dry. So everybody take care.